How do you spend more money on a single video game than 10 of Hollywood's most expensive blockbusters combined and still show almost nothing to the public? That is the question that makes this entire story so fascinating. The figure of $2 billion has been circulating for months, and the silence from Rockstar has only intensified curiosity. With that much money on the line, it feels impossible that this is just another entry in the series. The real question is, what exactly are they hiding behind this record-breaking investment? The shocking scale of $2 billion. $2 billion in the gaming world is not just large, it is unprecedented. To put that number into perspective, you could produce more than 10 films on the scale of Avengers Endgame for the same cost. That is also the equivalent of around 40 titles similar in scale to The Last of Us Part 2. Entire professional sports teams like the Los Angeles Clippers or the New York Mets have been purchased for less than this. When you compare this budget to Grand Theft Auto 5, which cost an estimated $265 million in 2013, the growth is staggering. Even with inflation, that earlier budget would only equal around $380 million today. $2 billion goes far beyond what is needed for marketing or visual improvements. It suggests Rockstar is constructing something much larger, something that justifies a level of spending no other game has ever demanded. Why Rockstar does not show its cards early? Secrecy has always been part of Rockstar's strategy, and history shows they rarely release gameplay footage early. Their projects usually stay behind closed doors until the studio is confident that hype will reach its peak. This approach has worked for them before, but the difference this time is the wave of expectation created by such a historic budget. Every day of silence fuels more speculation, and the community fills the gaps with theories and predictions. For Rockstar, the silence serves a purpose, but the longer it stretches on, the more it feels like there is something bigger waiting beneath the surface. It is not just another marketing cycle. The atmosphere surrounding this game carries a level of intensity and scrutiny that is unlike anything they have faced before, and that pressure is amplified by the sheer scale of attention from both the gaming world and mainstream media outlets. What could this money be building behind the scenes? When you look past the trailers and consider where the money might truly be going, the possibilities become more technical than visual. Artificial intelligence systems capable of managing dynamic traffic patterns, weather that impacts gameplay in real time, and non-player characters with lifelike daily routines are all potential targets for investment. Patents filed by Rockstar in recent years point to systems designed for living worlds that run continuously beneath the player's actions. The emphasis seems to be on creating a space that feels natural rather than scripted. When I look at the small gestures in the trailer, I cannot shake the feeling that these are not pre-programmed animations. They appear to be driven by something much larger working under the hood. If that is true, then the budget is not just for building content, but for engineering a foundation that changes how players experience every moment. That scale of ambition is what could separate this project from anything we have seen before. Looking back to understand the future. The last time Rockstar released a new Grand Theft Auto, the cost was already considered massive at around $265 million. Even adjusting for inflation, that number would only reach close to $380 million today, which is still nowhere near the scale of $2 billion. Since then, Red Dead Redemption 2 raised expectations by pushing immersion to new heights. Players saw non-player characters follow daily routines, react dynamically to actions, and create a sense of authenticity that few games have matched. Each Rockstar release has taken the lessons of the last and pushed them further, creating a steady pattern of innovation. Having studied Rockstar's evolution for years, I have noticed they never overspend. They invest only where they know it will redefine the genre. If history repeats itself, then the leap from Grand Theft Auto 5 to Grand Theft Auto 6 will be measured in more than visuals. It will be measured in ambition. The hidden long game. When development stretches across more than a decade and consumes such a historic budget, it becomes clear that the goal is bigger than just delivering a single game. A large part of this spending may be tied to infrastructure that supports Grand Theft Auto 6 for decades rather than years. Persistent online systems, scalable cloud technology, or even the ability to add new locations beyond the original map all become realistic possibilities. $2 billion suggests Rockstar is not designing a one-time release but a platform that evolves continuously and remains relevant for 15 to 20 years. That kind of longevity would secure long-term engagement and steady revenue, which is exactly why Take-Two Interactive would allow such an investment. No other studio has ever risked this much capital on one project, which raises the stakes dramatically. If Rockstar succeeds, it will set a precedent for the future of gaming. But if they stumble, it could go down as the most ambitious gamble in entertainment history. Theories that might not be so crazy. Speculation among fans has pointed to ideas that once seemed too ambitious to be true, yet the scale of this budget makes them difficult to dismiss. Rumors of a second major city, possible connections to parts of South America, and the return of multiple playable protagonists have all gained momentum. Normally, these kinds of theories are little more than wishful thinking, but $2 billion changes the conversation. Rockstar has both the resources and the time to attempt concepts that once sounded impossible for a single release. Some discussions even suggest larger multiplayer integration tied directly into single-player or evolving storylines that shift with updates, something no studio has ever fully achieved at this scale. I usually dismiss wild theories, but this time I cannot completely rule them out because $2 billion changes the rules. Whether these ideas prove true or not, the sheer possibility of them existing adds to the weight of expectation and the mystery surrounding what this project really holds. What makes this different from just hype? Every major release in gaming arrives with a wave of hype, but what stands out here is the scale of evidence supporting something beyond marketing talk. The chief executive officer of Take-Two Interactive, Strauss Zelnick, has publicly stated that Grand Theft Auto 6 will exceed expectations. Words like that are not unusual in the industry, yet when paired with the staggering $2 billion budget and Rockstar's deliberate silence, they start to feel like more than a press line. The combination suggests there is substance behind the promise. Rockstar is not relying solely on promotional campaigns to generate excitement. Instead, the mystery itself is part of the strategy, creating an atmosphere where every detail feels significant. That balance of hype supported by measurable factors sets this project apart from the normal cycle of exaggerated claims that players have become used to hearing. The risk factor nobody talks about. Few people acknowledge the unprecedented level of risk tied to this project. No other video game has ever carried a budget this large, which means there is no tested model to follow. If Rockstar succeeds, the result could redefine gaming and establish a new standard for what interactive entertainment can achieve. On the other hand, failure would mean the biggest financial disappointment in the history of the medium and perhaps even across entertainment as a whole. The scale of this gamble highlights enormous confidence in the product, but it also brings pressure unlike anything seen before. Development teams are not just working to meet expectations, they are carrying the weight of a $2 billion investment on their shoulders. The outcome will either be celebrated as the boldest leap in gaming or remembered as a cautionary tale for decades to come. $2 billion, more than a decade of silence and whispers of revolutionary systems, have built one of the most suspenseful moments gaming has ever faced. The question now is where all of that money has truly gone. What do you think Rockstar is building behind the scenes? Drop your answers in the comments, make sure to like and subscribe, and suggest the next Rockstar topic you would like me to break down.